Today, I want to bring your attention to something both urgent and empowering. Something that neuroscience, physiology, and nutrition science all agree on. After the age of 70, muscle loss is not just common, it's expected. But what if I told you that one specific food, supported by solid peer-reviewed science, can reverse that decline, restore strength, support vitality, and give back the control that aging often seems to take away? One specific protein-rich food can significantly reverse age-related muscle loss. The science behind this is both fascinating and empowering, especially for seniors who often believe muscle loss is an unavoidable part of aging. What many don't realize is that the body remains incredibly responsive to nutrition even into the later decades of life. Muscle tissue is dynamic. It responds to signals. Among the most powerful signals is dietary protein, specifically high-quality, complete protein sources rich in essential amino acids like leucine. Leucine is a key amino acid that serves as a trigger for muscle protein synthesis. In older adults, the body requires a stronger signal to initiate the same growth response it did in youth. That's why the quality and density of the protein source become critical. One food that stands out in numerous studies is eggs. Whole eggs, not just the whites, contain all 9 essential amino acids and are particularly rich in leucine. They also come packaged with other supportive nutrients like vitamin D, choline, and omega-3 fats if pasture-raised. These nutrients not only help stimulate muscle repair, but also support neuromuscular coordination, hormone regulation, and cellular energy. When seniors consume eggs daily, they're not just getting protein, they're getting a biological signal that says repair, rebuild, restore. Muscle loss, known as sarcopenia, starts around age 30 and accelerates after 60. By 75, many experience a noticeable decline in strength and mobility, often assuming this is a normal part of life. But emerging research shows this can be interrupted and even reversed with targeted nutrition. One randomized controlled trial found that older adults who consumed high-protein foods like eggs in combination with resistance activity, even as light as walking or bodyweight squats, experienced a measurable increase in lean muscle mass in just 12 weeks. This improvement wasn't just visible on the scale. It translated into real life strength, standing up from a chair more easily, walking faster, climbing stairs without support. This isn't just about looking fit. It's about regaining independence. Muscle is not vanity, it's vitality, and food is the catalyst. The protein in eggs is considered a gold standard for muscle synthesis because it's bioavailable and efficiently absorbed. That means when you eat 2 or 3 eggs in the morning, your body is not just digesting them. It's using that fuel to repair tissues, to support hormone balance, and to preserve strength. The yolk, often discarded out of fear, is in fact the powerhouse of this effect. It contains vital cofactors like vitamin B12, which is essential for nerve health, and fat-soluble vitamins that support testosterone and estrogen balance, important hormones even in aging populations. One of the biggest myths is that after 70, the body stops responding to protein or exercise. That is completely false. The human body is biologically adaptive to the end. In fact, studies on older populations, including those in their 80s and 90s, have shown robust improvements in muscle size and strength with dietary changes alone. Now imagine pairing this one food with consistent daily intake. Eating 3 whole eggs per day delivers around 18 to 20 grams of high-quality protein, along with a nutrient profile that supports every organ system. Seniors who make this a habit notice improved energy, less fatigue, and better balance. Why? Because muscle isn't just about size. It supports posture, prevents falls, enhances brain function, and even regulates blood sugar. That's why reversing muscle loss is not simply a cosmetic or comfort-based goal. It's a life-saving intervention. Most muscle tissue is lost not due to inactivity alone, but due to chronic undernutrition. Seniors often eat fewer calories, and the calories they do consume tend to be carbohydrate, heavy and low in protein. This leads to what's called anabolic resistance, where the muscle does not receive the right fuel to initiate repair. By introducing a dense, leucine-rich protein source like eggs, the signal strength increases. It's like turning up the volume on muscle building, even in a quiet system. One breakfast can literally change the way your genes are expressed that day. That's not speculation. It's epigenetics. Nutrients influence genetic expression, and protein is one of the most powerful epigenetic modifiers. There's also a psychological effect. Eating whole, nutrient-dense foods like eggs can change mood, motivation, and sense of purpose. When someone feels stronger physically, they think more clearly. They move more. They socialize more. It's a positive feedback loop. Neuroscientists have observed that strength training combined with adequate protein intake stimulates not only muscle fiber growth, but also brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, which enhances cognitive resilience. That means the one food reversing muscle loss is also indirectly protecting the brain from age-related decline. This is a complete mind-body upgrade that begins with a simple dietary shift. If you're 75 or older or know someone who is, the message is clear. It's not too late. You can reverse muscle loss. The science is on your side. One specific protein-rich food, like eggs, consumed consistently can transform how you age. It doesn't require supplements, powders, or gimmicks. Just a conscious choice to eat in a way that signals growth instead of decline. It's small, simple, but profoundly effective and backed by decades of data. So start with that one food. Make it a daily ritual. Over time, you won't just see the difference. You'll feel it in every step, every breath, every movement. The body listens. Give it the right signal. Muscle mass is directly linked to longevity, metabolic health, and brain function. This connection goes far beyond physical appearance or fitness levels. It's a reflection of how well the body is aging at the cellular level. As we age, maintaining muscle becomes one of the most powerful predictors of how long and how well we live. The presence of lean muscle mass affects nearly every system in the body: how we regulate blood sugar, how efficiently our heart and lungs work, how well we sleep, and even how sharp our thinking remains. When people lose muscle, they don't just lose strength, they lose biological stability. That's why scientists and longevity researchers focus so intensely on preserving and building muscle, especially as we move past midlife. One of the most overlooked facts in health is that skeletal muscle is the largest endocrine organ in the body. It secretes myokines, molecules that influence everything from inflammation to immune function to cognitive performance. When muscles contract, they send signals throughout the body that initiate repair, regulate hormones, and activate protective brain mechanisms. In other words, every time you engage your muscles, you are engaging your entire biology in a coordinated symphony of renewal. And when you have more muscle, that system is simply more powerful. This is why people with higher muscle mass tend to live longer and stay healthier well into old age. They don't just move better, they think clearer, recover faster from illness, and resist chronic diseases with more resilience. The link between muscle and metabolic health is equally profound. Muscle is the body's primary site for glucose disposal. That means when you eat carbohydrates, your muscles absorb a large portion of the sugar and use it for energy. If you have more muscle, you have a greater capacity to handle blood sugar, which lowers your risk for insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. In contrast, if you lose muscle with age, your blood sugar regulation worsens, leading to energy crashes, fat gain, and increased inflammation. This metabolic decline is one of the key reasons people feel tired and gain weight as they age. It's not just about eating too much. It's often about having too little muscle to process what you eat. Maintaining muscle helps restore that balance. Beyond metabolism, the brain-muscle connection is even more surprising. Recent neuroscience has shown that physical strength and cognitive performance are deeply intertwined. Older adults who maintain higher muscle mass have significantly lower rates of dementia and cognitive impairment. The reasons are both mechanical and chemical. First, regular use of muscle through movement increases blood flow to the brain, delivering more oxygen and nutrients. Second, as mentioned earlier, muscle tissue releases myokines during contraction. One such molecule, irisin, crosses the blood-brain barrier and stimulates the production of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, a protein that enhances learning, memory, and neuroplasticity. This means that when you build or preserve muscle, you are literally feeding your brain what it needs to stay sharp. In addition, the act of engaging muscles through resistance or weight-bearing movements trains the nervous system. Balance, coordination, and motor control all stem from complex communication between the brain and muscles. When muscle mass declines, these feedback loops degrade, leading to slower reaction times and higher risk of falls or injury. Falls are one of the leading causes of death and disability in people over 70. But strong leg and core muscles can cut this risk dramatically. A person with adequate muscle mass doesn't just walk better, they walk safer. They can catch themselves, maintain posture, and navigate uneven terrain with confidence. That level of autonomy is priceless as we age. Furthermore, studies show that individuals with higher muscle to fat ratios have lower levels of systemic inflammation. Chronic inflammation is a silent driver behind almost every major age-related disease, heart disease, Alzheimer's, cancer, and autoimmune conditions. Muscle acts as a buffer against this by producing an anti-inflammatory compounds and improving mitochondrial function. Healthy mitochondria, the energy factories inside cells, are essential for keeping all systems in the body running smoothly. Muscle contraction helps preserve mitochondrial density and efficiency. That's why active individuals often have better endurance, clearer skin, improved mood, and greater mental focus. It's not magic. It's muscle-driven biology working in harmony. Even hormone balance is influenced by muscle. In men, more muscle mass is associated with higher testosterone levels. In women, strength training and muscle maintenance help balance estrogen and progesterone, improving mood, energy, and bone density. Muscle is a hormonal ally, not just a mechanical one. It helps regulate stress hormones like cortisol, supports better sleep through serotonin pathways, and contributes to appetite control by affecting hunger hormones like ghrelin and leptin. In essence, when muscle is preserved, the whole endocrine system functions better. It's also important to recognize that muscle mass is a reflection of lifestyle. The choices we make each day, how we eat, move, rest, and recover all show up in our muscle health. When someone walks into a clinic or undergoes a body composition scan, muscle mass tells the story of their habits over time. It's not just genetic, it's built. And it can be rebuilt at any age. Numerous studies on seniors, even those in their 80s and 90s, have shown that muscle can be regained with the right combination of nutrition and movement. That's a message of hope, not fear. It means no one is ever too old to start rebuilding health from the inside out. Another aspect of muscle mass that's often missed is its psychological impact. People who are physically stronger tend to feel more confident, motivated, and engaged with life. They're more likely to set goals, stay social, and tackle new experiences. Strength changes not just the body, but the mindset. There's a reason why people recovering from illness or depression are encouraged to move, to lift, to walk. Movement generates momentum, and momentum changes everything. Lastly, there is the survival factor. In hospital settings, patients with more muscle mass are more likely to survive surgeries, infections, and prolonged illness. Muscle acts as a reservoir of strength the body can draw from during stress or trauma. It's like a health savings account. The more you have, the more you can withstand. In emergencies or chronic disease, this can be the difference between recovery and decline. That's why maintaining muscle mass should be treated as essential health care, not optional fitness. All of this leads to one conclusion. Muscle is life. It's more than motion, it's metabolism, memory, immunity, and resilience. Building and maintaining it isn't a luxury, it's a necessity for a long, healthy, and vibrant life. Whether you're 45 or 75, every effort to nourish and activate your muscles is an investment in your future. Daily intake of this food activates muscle protein synthesis, even in people over 70. Muscle protein synthesis is the process by which the body repairs and builds muscle tissue, and it's a vital mechanism for maintaining strength, function, and vitality as we age. However, after the age of 60, the body becomes less sensitive to the normal triggers of muscle growth. This condition is called anabolic resistance, where the muscles do not respond as effectively to protein intake or physical activity. The key to overcoming anabolic resistance lies in providing the body with a strong enough stimulus, both through targeted movement and through the right nutrients in the right amounts. This is where the daily intake of specific high-quality protein sources becomes essential. A particular food that has been studied extensively in this context is lean red meat, such as grass-fed beef. It contains a complete profile of essential amino acids, particularly leucine, which is a critical signal to initiate muscle protein synthesis. Just one serving of this food can provide enough leucine to start the muscle building process, even in seniors whose bodies have become less responsive to lower protein meals. In fact, research has shown that consuming at least 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine in a single meal can maximize the anabolic response in older adults. This threshold can be met easily by eating around 4 to 6 ounces of lean beef daily, depending on the cut. What makes this food so effective is not just the protein quantity, but the quality and bioavailability. Animal proteins are more efficiently digested and absorbed by the body compared to most plant proteins, making them especially important for seniors who may have reduced digestive efficiency. The presence of iron, zinc, vitamin B12, and creatine in red meat further enhances muscle function, energy production, and recovery. Creatine in particular has been shown to improve strength and muscle mass when combined with resistance training in older adults. It supports the rapid production of ATP, the energy currency of muscle cells, allowing for more effective and sustained muscle contractions during physical activity. Consistency is the game changer. When this food is consumed daily, ideally spread across meals to ensure a steady stream of amino acids, the body maintains a more constant anabolic environment. This regular input helps tip the scale away from muscle breakdown and toward repair and growth. In older populations, where the balance is often tilted toward catabolism, breakdown, this nutritional intervention can make a profound difference in physical capabilities over time. People who include this food regularly report increased strength, better endurance, improved balance, and less fatigue throughout the day. These benefits go beyond muscle. They translate into freedom and independence. When we look at the science of muscle maintenance in aging populations, it becomes clear that meal distribution matters just as much as total intake. Many older adults tend to consume most of their protein at dinner, leaving breakfast and lunch relatively protein poor. This uneven distribution means the muscle building potential of earlier meals is essentially wasted. By including this key food in smaller, evenly spaced portions throughout the day, say a few ounces at lunch and dinner, or a small portion with eggs in the morning, muscle protein synthesis can be triggered multiple times daily. This repeated stimulation is far more effective than a large single dose. Furthermore, this approach becomes even more powerful when paired with even light forms of resistance exercise. Walking, using resistance bands, body weight movements like squats and wall push-ups, or even daily household tasks performed with intention can all provide the necessary stimulus for muscles to respond. When this movement is followed by a high leucine meal, the muscle's sensitivity is heightened and the synthesis process is maximized. Timing becomes a powerful tool. Eating this food within 60 to 90 minutes after exercise creates a window of opportunity where the muscle is especially receptive to growth signals. For seniors, this pairing, movement followed by nutrient intake, can dramatically accelerate results. Additionally, the thermic effect of food, particularly protein-rich food, boosts metabolism by increasing the number of calories burned during digestion. This contributes to better weight management and body composition, helping reduce fat accumulation and supporting insulin sensitivity. Insulin sensitivity is crucial in older adults for preventing type 2 diabetes and metabolic syndrome, both of which are closely linked with muscle wasting. Lean muscle acts as a sink for glucose, absorbing it from the bloodstream and using it for energy. The more muscle you maintain, the more control your body has over blood sugar, which in turn supports brain health and mood regulation. Importantly, the benefits of daily intake of this muscle-stimulating food are not just physical, they affect psychological well-being as well. People who feel physically stronger tend to experience better confidence, lower rates of depression, and a greater sense of autonomy. In older adults, the loss of muscle is often associated with a perceived loss of control over the body. By reversing this trend, even gradually, a person begins to reclaim their agency. This shift in mindset has a cascading effect, leading to better lifestyle habits, increased social engagement, and a more positive outlook on aging. This is not just about muscles, it's about empowerment. Let's also address safety. There are long-standing myths around red meat consumption, particularly concerning heart health. However, recent studies have clarified that lean, unprocessed red meat consumed in moderate amounts, especially when part of a whole food diet rich in vegetables and fiber, does not increase cardiovascular risk. In fact, it may contribute to better outcomes by supporting muscle health, immune resilience, and overall nutrient density. It is the ultra-processed meats, those filled with preservatives, sodium, and additives, that pose greater health risks. When choosing this food, quality matters. Opting for grass-fed, hormone-free, and minimally processed options ensures the benefits are maximized and potential risks minimized. Hydration and digestion also play a role. Protein metabolism requires adequate water, so seniors incorporating this food daily should also prioritize proper hydration. This supports kidney function, nutrient transport, and the efficient breakdown of amino acids. Digestion can be further enhanced by eating slowly, chewing thoroughly, and pairing the protein with easily digestible vegetables and healthy fats like olive oil or avocado. These practices make the experience of eating more enjoyable and the physiological outcomes more effective. Ultimately, the activation of muscle protein synthesis through this food is a matter of consistency, timing, and awareness. When seniors understand that muscle loss is not inevitable and that they can actively reverse it with something as simple as what they put on their plate each day, they are more likely to take action. This is not about supplements or extreme diets. It's about small, daily choices that have a powerful cumulative effect over time. Just one serving of the right food consumed with intention can change how the body builds, performs, and ages. Muscle is a living tissue that responds to how we nourish it, and even after 70, it's capable of growth. This truth, backed by science and visible in lived experience, offers hope, strength, and a new path forward for aging well. Neuroscience shows maintaining muscle helps preserve cognitive function with age. The connection between physical strength and mental clarity is not only profound, it's becoming one of the most exciting discoveries in brain science. For years, researchers viewed muscle health and brain health as separate systems, each with their own needs, challenges, and treatments. But recent breakthroughs in neurobiology, endocrinology, and exercise science have revealed something far more integrated. Our muscles and our brains communicate constantly through hormonal signals, electrical impulses, and immune system pathways. The condition of one deeply influences the function of the other. In other words, when we take care of our muscles, we are directly protecting the brain, its structure, function, and resilience. This understanding is critical when it comes to aging. As people get older, many accept cognitive decline as an inevitable part of life. Memory lapses, slower thinking, lack of focus, and even neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's are often seen as natural. But neuroscience is showing otherwise. While some cognitive changes with age are normal, accelerated brain aging is not, and one of the strongest predictors of that acceleration is loss of muscle mass. This is because muscles are not passive tissues. They produce and release compounds called myokines, which are signaling molecules that travel through the bloodstream and influence organs throughout the body, especially the brain. One of the most studied myokines is irisin, which is released during muscle contraction. Irisin has been shown to promote neurogenesis, the growth of new neurons, in the hippocampus, a region of the brain essential for learning and memory. It also helps reduce inflammation in the brain and supports the survival of existing neurons. In essence, irisin acts like a neuroprotective messenger. The more active and engaged our muscles are, the more irisin we produce, and the more supported our brain becomes in the face of aging-related challenges. This is not just theoretical. Human studies have shown that older adults who maintain muscle strength score higher on cognitive tests and have lower rates of dementia. There's also a structural component. Functional MRI studies show that people who engage in resistance training or muscle maintaining physical activity have greater volume in brain regions associated with decision making, memory, and focus. These changes are visible on brain scans and correlate with improved performance in real-life cognitive tasks. But it's not just about exercise, it's about the muscle itself. Maintaining muscle tissue acts as a reservoir of biological stability. It improves circulation, supports the immune system, and regulates metabolic function, all of which contribute to brain health. Poor circulation and chronic inflammation, often linked to muscle loss, are both risk factors for cognitive decline. Insulin sensitivity is another pathway that links muscle with the brain. When we maintain muscle, we improve how the body handles glucose, stable blood sugar levels, reduce the risk of insulin resistance, and type 2 diabetes, both of which are known to increase the risk for Alzheimer's and vascular dementia. The brain thrives on stable, clean energy. Muscle supports that by acting as a metabolic engine, burning glucose efficiently and preventing the blood sugar spikes and crashes that impair brain function over time. People with better metabolic health often experience sharper thinking, better mood regulation, and lower levels of anxiety or depression. Another overlooked connection is the role of muscle in reducing systemic inflammation. Chronic low-grade inflammation, sometimes called inflammaging, is a hallmark of both physical and cognitive decline. Muscle tissue, especially when regularly activated, produces anti-inflammatory signals that counteract this process. This helps preserve the integrity of the blood-brain barrier, a protective shield that keeps harmful substances out of the brain. When the barrier is compromised, as it often is in people with muscle wasting, toxins and inflammatory compounds can enter brain tissue and accelerate neurodegeneration. Maintaining muscle helps preserve this barrier and keeps the brain's environment stable and clean. Physical strength also influences brain function indirectly by affecting mental state. People who feel strong are more likely to engage in mentally stimulating activities, socialize, maintain independence, and move through the world with confidence. These behaviors all support neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt, grow, and reorganize itself. In contrast, those who lose muscle often experience reduced mobility, social isolation, and a shrinking of mental and physical horizons. This can lead to a cascade of cognitive decline that might have been preventable. Strength is not just a physical attribute, it's a psychological and neurological one, too. Importantly, the benefits of muscle maintenance extend even to those who are already experiencing signs of cognitive decline. Studies have shown that resistance training in older adults with mild cognitive impairment can slow the progression of symptoms and, in some cases, improve memory and executive function. The mechanism is likely multifactorial: improved blood flow, reduced inflammation, increased production of neurotrophic factors like BDNFs, a brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and improved metabolic regulation all play a role. BDNF, in particular, is like fertilizer for the brain. It supports neuron growth and helps existing neurons form new connections. The production of BDNF is stimulated both by physical activity and by the presence of healthy muscle tissue. The evidence is so compelling that some neuroscientists are now advocating for resistance training and muscle maintenance as a frontline intervention for preventing age-related cognitive disorders. In clinical settings, older adults who maintain or increase their muscle mass tend to require less medication, report fewer memory complaints, and show better outcomes on neurocognitive assessments. This shift in thinking is powerful because it places the responsibility for brain health not just in the domain of pills or cognitive training exercises, but in daily physical choices that are accessible to nearly everyone. It's not about lifting heavy weights or running marathons. Even light resistance work, body weight movements, and daily walks can activate the pathways that support both muscle and brain. Coupled with a diet rich in high-quality protein, anti-inflammatory fats, and micronutrients, the brain-muscle connection becomes even stronger. Protein helps preserve muscle tissue, while nutrients like omega-3s, magnesium, and B vitamins support neurotransmitter function and brain metabolism. When seniors build meals that support muscle, they are also feeding their brains, literally and functionally. Sleep also plays a synergistic role in this process. People with higher muscle mass tend to sleep better, and sleep is when the brain performs many of its repair and memory consolidation processes. Deep sleep supports hormonal balance, brain detoxification via the glymphatic system, and the stabilization of new neural connections. This triad, muscle, brain, and sleep, is a self-reinforcing loop. Improve one and the others follow. Neglect one and the entire system begins to deteriorate. In practical terms, this means that a 75 year-old who does simple resistance exercises 3 times a week, eats high leucine protein like eggs or lean beef daily, prioritizes sleep, and stays hydrated is not just preventing muscle loss. They are actively preserving their brain. Their risk for cognitive decline drops. Their ability to think clearly and make decisions improves. Their mood stabilizes. Their life becomes more vibrant and engaged. These aren't small benefits. They are transformative. So while it may seem surprising, it is absolutely true that neuroscience shows maintaining muscle helps preserve cognitive function with age. This insight reshapes the way we approach aging, not as a slow decline, but as a process we can influence deeply through the body. Muscle is not only strength, but brain fuel, mood enhancer, memory protector, and lifespan extender. As we move into a new era of health and science, this realization offers a roadmap not just for living longer, but for living better, sharper, stronger, and more mentally alive at every age.